Hey everybody, Mark Spector Comics, and I'm back. This time I'm going to show you a couple of books I ended up picking up from ShoreCon and Little Giant Comic Show. So if you're interested in seeing what I picked up recently, stay tuned for that intro. Alright, so welcome back. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so when I do put out some content, you get it in a timely fashion. Like I said, I'm going to show you a couple of the books I picked up recently at ShoreCon, and then I'm going to show you some video and recap of Little Giant Comic Show. So I ended up going to ShoreCon. This was late March, I believe. I went there because my buddy John and John were both setting up at the show. And it was a debut of a show. I believe the owner that was hosting the show was a seller previously at CliffsCon. Don't know any of the backstory, but they ended up starting up this new show at what is called ShoreCon. And hopefully, if it does well, they'll probably do some more in the future. And it was just comic books, no toys, no figures, no cards, none of that stuff. Just straight comic show. I thought it was pretty good. There was a lot of lower end books, a lot of fillers, small keys, some medium sized keys. But it was just a fun little show to set up, especially if you're new to vending. You want to start up doing, selling some books and so forth. So I thought that was a pretty good show to do that. A lot of, dollar books and up, fun digging type of comic show. Probably if they do go forward, maybe one day I'll set up there because it seemed like a show that would be comparable for me to set up, especially for somebody who's never set up at a show before. So enough of that. I didn't take any video because it was, like I said, it was a small show. It was at like an Elks Lodge type of style show. So it wasn't really, I didn't think was really worth taking footage. So I'm going to show you the two books I ended up getting there. Didn't spend much there. I believe I spent just under $80, and the brunt of it was one book that was being held by my buddy John. So I'll show you the first book I got. This is just picked it up for $2, cheap, and this was at I believe it was at the person hosting it, his booth. So this was the first book. The Max #1. I picked this book up basically because I've never read it, and the timing of when this book came out was the announcement, unfortunately, of Sam Keith's passing. Unfortunately, he passed away in his early 60s due to a terrible neurodegenerative disease, which was very unfortunate. I didn't know he had it as well, but it's very debilitating, and sadly he passed away recently. So I wanted to pick this up and give it a read. I do like his artwork, and this was one of his more important series that he was a creator for, so had to pick this up. The next book, like I said, picked this one up from my buddy John. He was holding it for me for a little bit, and I figured this would be a good time to go there and pick it up because I wasn't sure at the time if I was going to be able to go to Little Giant because of work schedule. So pick this up. Boom. This was the cool book I've been waiting to get for a while now. He's had it for a little bit. He picked this. This was one of the books he had at last year. He ended up getting this in a collection. There was some Golden Age books in there. And he knew I was interested in this series. I want to try to collect some of the series. Some of the books in the series are quite tough to find. But this is the Comic Cavalcade, issue number 28. It is in rough shape. There's some splitting there on the spine. But the book is complete. And it's just a really cool cover. Look at Wonder Woman throwing baseball. Looks like they're at a carnival. Throwing baseballs at the Flash and Green Lantern. So I thought that was a fun cover. And it is, I forget how many issues there are in the run. I want to say it's probably in the 50s or 60s. But the superhero specific run goes from 1 to 28, and this is the last issue of that run before it goes into like the what I call the funnies, like, you know, cartoonish characters. So really cool. I was happy to pick this up. It says $4 on the sticker. It wasn't $4. It was just a random sticker on there. But thanks, John, for selling that book to me. And then now I'm going to be going into the books I got at Little Giant. So this was also my first time going to Little Giant, and the last few years, just conflict of work schedule, you know, working weekends and so forth, it just hadn't worked in my favor. But I just happened to be off this weekend, and I was like, all right, I had a few days off, but I had to drive up there because I work in New Hampshire. I drove up and then drove back down, so it was a busy weekend. But had the opportunity to finally go. I got there right at 10 o'clock. Didn't get to go on Friday night. They do like a VIP. I think this was the first or second year that they did the VIP. You get to hang out with the dealers, and the creators are there as well. And if you like to collect signatures, that would have been a great day to go and meet the artists when there's no lines. And then they did like a charity auction at nighttime with some books and original art. So definitely sounded like a fun time. And as you know, a lot of the dealers like to make deals the day before a convention or a show. So that's why I often say the good deals are often made the day before the show. So I had a couple of buddies that went to it, and they said they had a good time. So I didn't get much there at the show. All right, we're here at Little Giant Comic Show. Yeah, some of the creators area. You got David Michelini, Rick Parker, got some vendors here. Looks like a great show. Can't wait to meet a couple of artists as well.
Have a good show.
How are you? What am I? Just up here? Cool show. Oops, sorry. Some boots. Etc. Looks good. Hold on. So you can see we're at an arena.
I know you like Dr. Strange. Grading Company. Slab.
I did bring one book to get signed, and you'll see it. I've already posted it on my Instagram, but it's been kind of like a funny meme between the guys here in Rhode Island, because Big Daddy John Ross had a ton of these in his collection, and we all have like a copy or two or more of Captain America. I call it the Asthma Monster book. But Rick Parker was there, and he is one of the creators that worked on this book. So I got a chance to talk to him. You'll see it in the video. Really nice guy. Learned a lot about him. I didn't know too much about him previously. He talked about his time in the service, and he also had a book that he had been working on for quite some time that he finally published. So he was selling those books there as well. But he actually signed it here along the Asthma Monster, as you can see there. So I thought that was pretty cool. and he had never. This is the first time he had signed this book, so it was cool. Like the creators that I've met and got this signed, all have said that this was the first time they've signed this book. As you can see there, Al Milgrom, he signed that at Terrificon. He was also at Little Giant. Super nice guy as well. I call him Uncle Al. Louise Simonson, I got that signed this past year at Terrificon. And now Rick Parker. I didn't get a chance to meet Alex Subiec. He was also at Terrificon. That would have knocked out another one of the signatures. But one day I'll get a chance to meet him and add to that signature. So I got that signed. A lot of good books at the show. There was a lot of big dealers there from all over, locally, from the South, from New York, Maryland, you name it. Our buddy Josh, Buzz Comics, he drove up from North Carolina. He set up a booth there. Big dealers like Reese's Rare Comics was there. Forget who else. Locally, Travis LPA, Landry Pop Auctions, was also there. He's one of the sponsors. He has a big auction house locally. He was set up there. There was JNS. JNS is local to Connecticut. He was there, had a big booth as well. Obviously, a Little Giant comic show. Comic shop was there. They had a big booth. Lots of cool books. So if you were looking for anything small, filler, you want to get some random key books, some cool covers, rare Golden Age books, they had it. You know, anything from $1 to like tens of thousands. They had books there. They had AF-15s, they had Hulks, FFs, some really scarce Golden Age books were there. So if you had deep pockets, or if you were looking for something unusual or obscure, this was the show for you. Obviously, you know, I like to collect some Golden Age lately. Well, the last few years I've been collecting Golden Age, but specifically just random obscure books from pre-code sci-fi, horror, oddball superhero stuff, and you know, covers like subject covers like atomic bombs, Christmas covers, shark covers, stuff like that. So there were a lot of dealers that had Christmas books. I didn't really go in with an expensive budget. I wanted to keep it to like a couple $100 or less total for like the whole thing, including, you know, tickets and so forth. So I ended up doing that. I think I spent like $125 all in between tickets, signatures, and books. So I achieved my goal at least. I know it's very tough to do that, especially when you go to a comic show and there's a lot of good stuff. So I picked up 3 Golden Age Christmas covers. I was looking for potentially trading a book too. I just couldn't find the right deal, you know, to make it worth it for me and the dealer. So I might decide to end up grading that book. And that was my ASM 129. So I might just end up grading the book anyways. But because, you know, sometimes you got to use big keys to get other keys without breaking the bank. So that's usually how I make the hobby work for myself. But as for what I picked up, this was the first book. This is Big Shot issue number 84. And just a really cool Santa Claus cover. And he has a couple of his, you know, dolls, figures here on the bottom. Looks like a workbench. So I picked that up. It was only $20. I thought that was pretty good. And like I said, he ended up giving me a good deal. I ended up getting, I think this was stickered at $100. And I got it for $80. So I thought that was fair. This was the most pricey one. This is Target Comics, issue number 4, volume 4, issue number 8. This is just a great Christmas tree cover. Got some presents there. And looks like there's a guy here fumbling on a ladder trying to put some ornaments or some ribbon around the tree. So this is pretty cool. all these books I looked up in the Gerber guide. So this was a Gerber 5. This on the scarcity level, 10 obviously being the highest. So it's right in the middle. The Big Shot was a Gerber 4, so less scarce. And the last book I picked up, and this one, a lot of these issues in the Dell's Walt Disney and Comics and Stories and so forth are usually pretty common. This was Walt Disney's Stories and Comics, issue number 137. And this is from February of 1952, right? 50, I believe so. Nice little cover with Daffy Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie sleeping there, and he's dressed up as Santa, and he's got the window open, and of course got a little blustery in there, and the snow blew all over him. So just a fun little cover, and that was 15 bucks. So like I said, I got all 3 books for 80 bucks, which I thought was pretty fair. It's not like everybody in the show is looking for Christmas covers or holiday themed books. So I feel like these books often sit there because it's a niche collector that wants to get books like these, like myself. Like I said, a lot of cool books there. I just didn't want to spend too much money. There's definitely, I'm sure there's going to be some other videos from the show that showed some really neat books. But like I said, this is what I thought was pretty cool and well within my budget. And I forgot to mention that this book, this Target Comics, who's the publisher on this? I'm not even sure. It's not Avon. I'm gonna have to open this up real quick and show you, because this is pretty neat that I forgot to point out. So the publisher, because sometimes they don't always tell you on the cover. I'm not sure. Usually it says it. Novelty Press. Interesting. All right. But the cool thing about this is it's a single staple, as you can see there. Single staple comic. And when it's a single staple comic, it's always stapled right in the middle, because otherwise it's just going to flap right out. And these are difficult books in general when it's a single staple comic to survive from the 40s and still not be like at least detached at a centerfold or a page or so forth. So I went through it, and it is attached, which is cool, because I do have some Fawcett books and that are single staples, and it is very easy. One of them is detached, so it's tough. It's tough to keep these still, at this age, to still have them be fully attached. So really cool book. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed some of the footage of Little Giant, and for the people that I got a chance to hang out, talk with, and meet for the first time at the show. It was a great time and pleasure talking to you guys, and hopefully we can do it again at the next show. So if you guys enjoyed this at any point in time, hit the like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Next time, Mark Spector Comics, out.